What's up there, fishaholics? Real quick, want to go over with you guys the power source that I put in my kayak. I decided to go with a power source that would allow future growth. It's two 50 amp hour batteries, lithium ion, operating in unison to power a Solix 10, and a power pole in the back. The addition of LED lights, safety lights, and lights to see while I'm night fishing, that stuff will come later. I decided to go with FPV power. I have, like I said, I have two 50 amp hour batteries, lithium ion batteries, operating in unison that are supposed to be powering a trolling motor, but I clipped the nodes off and I used some step down connectors and connected something called the FPV power regulator. Okay. So when you're operating some of the more recent, more robust fish finders, they do not like having low amperage, or low voltage, I should say. So normally at full power, you're going to be pushing about 11.9, 11.8 volts. When lithium ion batteries start to get towards the end of their charge, say around 35%, the voltage output starts to really drop. So what the power regulator does is prevents that drop. It always has a stored amount of power and feeds the fish finder 11.7 to 11.9 volts at all times, regardless of what the output of the batteries are. So even if it's at the end of, after operated for 3 days straight without charging, but you know, say we're at the end of our charge, I'm not at risk of losing Navionics, GPS, any of that stuff. So a full fog could come in, I could be, you know, low on power source, and I'd still be fine and be able to find my way back to the boat ramp. But for future growth, I decided to go with the FPV power distribution hub. Now, if you notice, these things are encased in plastic. You know, all of these are watertight. You know, I happen to live in New England, so the last tournament I was at, it was 37 degrees in the morning, and it ended up being something like 58 by the time I was headed home. So what that's going to do to the inside of your hull is going to make it sweat. So there'll be puddles of water in the bottom of your kayak just because of condensation. So if you notice, those batteries are sitting up on the foam. That's a foam that came with the kayak. What I did is I actually cut out a space for those batteries and got them up out of any water that might be sitting in the bottom of them. As you can see, I replaced the flotation with the wire through there. It's always a good idea to add a little more flotation just in case. So anyways, I have these batteries are fully encased in watertight, waterproof plastic. You know, the lithium ion batteries, they have an onboard computer chip that anytime there's a massive discharge or the voltage goes up or down violently, it'll automatically cut power to them. So it's a safety that's built into them. So I can't cook my electronics. I got a Solix 10, so I want to protect it. So that's why I protect it with a regulator and an inline fuse in between the regulator and the lithium ion batteries. So off the right side battery, I operate the power pole in the back. And off the left side, I'm putting the power distribution hub, and all my lights and LEDs are gonna come off this, as well as like a phone charger and USB port and stuff like that. Anything else I want to add too. So just a quick little blurb as to, you know, think out how you might want to put a power source on, get a fish finder, and I'll tell you one thing, like once you start this stuff, like more seems to not be enough. So go a little bit bigger than you think you're gonna need. You might think 100 amp hours is a little much, but at some point I may want to put a trolling motor on this so I can keep up with the big boys in the tournaments. You know, if I do that, I just put those nodes right back on that I clipped off, and then get another battery to operate the fish finder and the power pole and my LEDs. You know, there's always, you know, room for growth, but you got to start somewhere. This is where I started. You know, it took something like 5 years of saving and planning to kind of do this, but you know, I'm really glad that I did, and I have peace of mind when I'm out on the water or when in the kayaks, you know, sitting out. It can be fully flooded. Those batteries aren't going to do anything to my electronics or anything. So yeah, tight lines.